Welcome to Go For Your Life. Thank you so much for tuning in and giving me your listening ears. Woohoo! This is a podcast for everyone, about everything, and it's to encourage, inspire, uplift you to go for your life. And it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. Welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. And we are back. It's been a crazy year of a lot of, being all over the place, lots of study going on. And, Sparky kept himself busy. But we are back with an amazing person that I admire and respect so very much. I was also on her podcast, Curious Yogi. Check that out as well. The lovely Bobbi.
Yay!
Bobbi,
Hello, Caro and Sparky. So excited to be here.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here, Bobbi. So last minute as well, because I really, invited you, yesterday or something, but very last minute because I'm so excited about what you're doing, because you're doing a beautiful fundraiser, next week, really, the 1st of December. So let's dive straight in. What are we doing? What are you doing, Bobbi? Tell us everything.
Okay, so yes, December 1st is World AIDS Day, and I'm part of the team coordinating a fundraiser, a global fundraiser called Yoga to End World AIDS Day, and it's to raise awareness for children living with HIV in India and raise money to send 67 kids to school for a year. So this event is really important, if you ask me, because children and women living with HIV in India still face so much discrimination and stigmatization that in the Western world, we don't really see or experience HIV/AIDS in the same way that it is still in places like India. Like, we know people can live a long, healthy life with HIV. You can have kids without passing HIV. You can breastfeed. Like, all these things, like modern medicine is so there. But due to limited access to these life-saving medications and health resources in India, along with the very, very rampant stigma and discrimination in society, in India, it's still really hard for people living with HIV. So this fundraiser kind of came out of my love of yoga, of being a yoga, of wanting to be in service, and the work of Tribe of Lambs, which is a Canadian-based charity, Canadian and UK-based charity that works for this cause. So we've kind of brought them together and brought yoga teachers from 6 different countries doing online, in-person, and hybrid yoga classes, all donation-based classes, to bring awareness to this on and around December 1st, which is World AIDS Day.
So amazing. And Tribe of Lambs, is that also you, Bobbi? Is that your organization, or?
Yes. So Tribe of Lambs, we founded in 2014. It started as just a small little crowdfunding project to raise money for an orphanage in northern India in Himachal Pradesh. It's the state past Punjab, so it's super Himalayan. And it started like a little side fundraising project with myself and 2 friends back, one from the UK, one from Canada. And it just received such a positive response that we were like, okay, like, people are really keen to give, and then it just sort of snowballed from then. And then, like, fast forward 9 years, we've become a registered charity. We've raised over $300,000 and helped 500 kids, and really got to connect global donors from all over the world, like literally all over the world, to this cause. And every year we spend a lot of time in India working with these kids, working with our partner home in Jaipur. That's the primary area that we're working. We have an amazing partner home. Like, they are doing such incredible work for not only advocating for these kids, but really setting the bar of, like, what is the quality of care for a child that has HIV in India? Like, it's pretty common and known fact in India that NGOs and charitable organizations, it can be it's a lot of sketchy things happening, but so it's hard for international donors to donate to small organizations without them being vetted. And the thing that's special about Tribe of Lambs is that we're so connected with our partner home. We spend so much time there. We've really become like an extended family. So our donors feel connected to the cause. They feel connected to the kids. We've sent like 20 kids now through university, like out into the world. And so these donors, after all these years, they get to really see the progress along with Phil and I. Phil is my best friend and my partner in the charity work. He lives in the UK. So that's Tribe of Lambs kind of in a nutshell. And we're just carrying on. We just do a couple fundraisers a year. And World AIDS Day is really one of the biggest ones for raising awareness. So that's why it's really special.
Amazing. It's an incredible story, Bobbi. My goodness. That's such a beautiful thing to do also. And when you think about, like this specific cause, like on the 1st of December, why are you so passionate about, well, even just World AIDS Day, or like what makes you so passionate about doing this and getting other people involved as well?
Yeah, like it's kind of interesting because like I never went out like thinking like HIV in India is going to be like a cause I'm passionate about. It just like really kind of came into my life when I went to India for the first time. I was working as a wardrobe stylist in Toronto, and I had this like kind of big fashion career, and that was kind of like the path I was on, although I was like deeply unsatisfied. And so I had never done any volunteering or anything, and so I did find just like some personal joy, and just like I was teaching dance and yoga to kids, and like it was kind of started in that way. And then as we started to expand the fundraising, the projects, we were actually also making jewelry. We were selling jewelry and then donating the profits back to these projects. So that was, we don't do that anymore, but we were making the jewelry in Jaipur. And so I was then traveling all over making the jewelry. And so we were looking for a project to support in the same area where we made the jewelry. So I was visiting a few different NGOs and homes, and like we were really thinking about, okay, like where is this organization going? And somebody got me tuned into this home called Raise, which is now our partner home. And I went there, I met the founder, and he really shed light to me like about the issue that children living with HIV face. And I was like, I'm so naive. I come from a privileged background. I'm Canadian. Like these things that like never occurred to me. He really made clear like kids are denied access to education, to healthcare, to housing, to social services, just because they have HIV status. Like in society, it's like they think still if you hug someone with HIV, you're gonna get HIV, or if that the virus gets into the walls, so they have a hard time getting housing. Like this, like things like to us, I'm like, that's crazy. And so we just started really working with them, and Phil, he's a gay man, so the HIV cause, he was like really called to him, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. And then in 2017, when Phil and I were in India, we really saw firsthand the discrimination that is faced when we were in the home. There was a young boy, he's 12 years old, and he ended up not getting access to healthcare, so much that he ended up dying when we were there. And this was a boy that we had like a really strong connection with, and we tried to advocate for him. We tried to throw money at different hospitals, and everywhere we went, he was denied. As soon as we said, like, disclose, okay, will you help this boy? Yes, but oh, he's HIV positive. Sorry, we can't help him. And it was so infuriating. And just now remembering that boy's name was Hanuman, which we know Hanuman is the god. He's worshipped for strength, for courage, and he like really gives us the courage to like keep doing this work, and like that it's important, because no child should ever not even like not have education, but no child should ever not have access to healthcare just because of HIV, right? So that's where the real passion and the fire comes from. It comes from Hanuman and that story.
Well, and also I think like you can really see it. I mean, you all are listening to Bobbi, and I think you can hear it in her voice, but I can definitely see it in your eyes. The fire and passion when you talk about this, and I think it's important to sort of really, you know, like highlight that as well, because you even have that on your flyer, I think, for the 1st of December. It's also that stigma that you're fighting, you know. I think it's a big, you know, I mean, I think specifically we are pretty naive and privileged and all that in the West, you know. So I don't even think, like, when you think about, oh yeah, children and HIV, you know, like, I think that even just thinking about that children also have HIV is something that we don't even really think about here, you know, because we just think about like, oh yeah, you know, like people get it, but you know, also there's a lot of children who are suffering from it in India. And I think it's like, it's so wonderful that you're highlighting a big problem and a big issue, you know, that that we need to fight, and we need to support. We need to, you know, they definitely need our help, I would say.
Yeah, you make such a good point, because awareness really is the key for HIV to stopping the transmission from mother to child, which all the kids we work with, they come from rural Rajasthan, where their mothers have become infected from their husbands who work as migrant workers. So they go out into the cities to get employment. They come back to the village, could pass the HIV on to their wife unknowingly, who then passes it on to her children. And like, now science is there. This is totally preventable with education. So that's why, like you said, like, awareness is so important, that, you know, we're supporting these kids now, but we're also raising money and awareness for the future generations, so that these kids that have HIV know, like, I can have a wife and a family and not pass it along to my kids. Like, that's how HIV stops, right? So
yeah. And do you feel like, and this is maybe a difficult question, because I'm not too sure when you were in India last, but do you feel like there is more, I don't know, awareness or understanding of HIV ever since COVID, and how people saw like, oh, a virus can be very easily spread worldwide? Is there more understanding for HIV because of that as well, you think? Or
I think like during the pandemic, for sure, like for example, there was an outbreak in the girls' home. So the organization we work with, they have a boys' home and a girls' home, and all 17 girls contracted COVID, which, if you're a kid with HIV, you have a very compromised immune system. So it's like a pretty serious thing. And that was during the second wave in India, which, as we all remember, was like it was a big crisis there. So, but I think that the expansion for like compassion and empathy, and like, we're all in this together, really did open up in India during COVID. Like, so for example, all those kids were like immediately put into the hospital, just for like, everybody ended up being fine, but just so that they were supported. And I think slowly, you know, after the last 9 years, there is progress happening, and because of a lot of awareness programs that are happening in India, so it is getting better. And yeah, like this year, UN AIDS has themed World AIDS Day Equalize, which I love, because it's kind of like the yoga theme of unify. But we are all in this together, and I think it's so important for us as yogis to advocate for that. I know that's something you do, like with your voice and your platform, and it's so important that we use yoga and our communities to share that message.
Absolutely. We have our platforms, and we should be using these platforms. I mean, that's for sure. And specifically to help others, you know, like I'm extremely passionate about what you're doing, and extremely passionate about the 1st of December. And so good to mention as well, it's like, so World AIDS Day is, as we all know, I think everybody knows that it is on the 1st of December, but the classes are a bit like in the week, sort of, right? Like they spread. They're not all on the 1st of December, right? Like some classes are happening on other dates. And
so like we've got a lot of classes on December 1st, but some before. We have some even like going one every week until the end of December. So
so good.
And there's exactly, and like, you know, I know you're going to share about your amazing class on the 4th. You're celebrating your birthday, which I love that, to have a class for these kids. But the donation page for this event stays open for like 3 months. So people even listening later can have a chance to just click on the website and donate to World AIDS Day and Tribe of Lambs.
Yeah, that's I think that's a really really good thing, because, and even if you don't want to, even if you're not a yoga practitioner, but you still want to donate, just donate, you know, like just help this cause, you know, like, or you have injuries and you can't get onto the mat, whatever it is, you know, just support this, because I think it's a wonderful I think it is a really, really wonderful cause to support. And